Welcome to Into the Fray, a Bridge Church resource for you as you follow Jesus in your day-to-day. On this episode, I, Austin and Robby sit down and wrestle with the idea of who are we? Specifically, who are we in regards to our sex or gender? In this episode, we get into the language behind a lot of the conversation around gender today, and then I even share a bit about how I've had to wrestle with my identity as a man. We get into all this and much more, so join the conversation with us. Leave us a rating and review, and click our links in the description to find out more about us. Now, let's enter into the fray. What's your favorite TV show of all time?
Ooh, favorite TV show. Oh, man. It's a good one. Movies, I'm much better at answering with this. The ones, I guess, that we still click on because they're funny. The Big Bang Theory. I still watch that. Because it's just a different dynamic. It's hilarious, but we still watch that. Carrie loves Friends, and so when that comes on, or usually, The Big Bang, and of course I don't agree with all of it kind of thing, which is, one of those things though. It's a show, you know what I mean? But the different dynamics of the characters and stuff, I don't know. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Used to maybe like a Seinfeld or something like that, but now I cut it on, not quite as funny. I don't know, it's crazy. There's certain shows that I watched when, high school or college, I should say, or young adult. And now, I don't know, just not quite as funny as I thought they were at the time.
Yeah. Did you get into The Office?
I did not.
Okay.
Is that yours?
Yeah. That's the all-time favorite.
Yeah, and that's still on like crazy, right? Even just regular network, yeah.
Yeah. The only trouble is when they took it off Netflix, that it's just not as easy to watch now.
Okay.
So, when it was on Netflix, everybody could it's top of the list, number one show or whatever. You click on it, and it was easy to keep on repeat. But then they took it off of Netflix, put it on Peacock or whatever. Uh-huh. That's another subscription.
Yeah.
There's that stumbling block. And so I don't have Peacock. I have the box sets. Uh-huh. It's just a whole thing to put the disc
We're
in.
so spoiled.
Yeah. As I said that, I was like, wow, I'm lazy.
Streaming, just the whole dynamic that we have now, and who knows what we'll have in 5-10 years kind of thing. But yeah, we're spoiled, man. Eat commercials, even watching on network or Dish or whatever kind of thing. Now it's man, I hate commercials, which is funny because Bryce, we would record, he streams tablets and stuff like that all the time. But even before that, DVR and stuff, so we would record his favorite shows. So if it was Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or whatever and so as he's watching it, I just automatically fast forward through the commercials.
Yeah.
And so when he would watch it live, he'd be like, it didn't resonate because it was I'll go back to Mickey. I don't want to watch this infomercial or whatever kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, so why The Office? I'm just curious since I don't know. I know about it, but I never got into it.
It's just, man, there's so much, I feel different shades of humor in it because you have so many different characters. Uh-huh. And so if you're just very silly, stupid humor, that's in it. Okay. There's also the sarcastic humor, and then there's the deep humor that's probably more intellectual, but I don't think most people catch on to that until a few times through this actual series.
Yeah.
So there's just jokes on jokes on jokes. Uh-huh. And then I don't know, it's just comfort. I was listening to the guy who plays Dwight. He just wrote a book. It's Soul Boom or something like that. Okay. And he's a very spiritual guy, and he's part of the Baha'i faith. And Russell Moore was interviewing him, and he was why do you think The Office? He's my sons, who weren't alive when The Office first came out, have that show on repeat. Why do you think that is? And he's it's weird. There are teenagers who dream of working in a paper company office because of that show, because they think it's going to be like that.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, it's just like this comfort show that you put on, you want to watch, and so like you'll watch it all the way through. But it's also one of those shows that you can like have on in the background while you're doing laundry, and you haven't missed too much that you're out of the loop.
Yeah.
And it's a show that you can rewatch over and over again, and there's a different joke that you missed that you like. Yeah, there's just always something to get from that show.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's fun.
and there's so many seasons that there's just if you rewatch it, like you have to go through a whole journey again. So I don't know, it's like a whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's funny, like about it, because people will hear, mine being maybe The Big Bang, which I'm not a big show person anyway. But like again, I don't aspire to The Big Bang. Well, God spoke, and I'm sure it was Big Bang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, kind of thing. But how, not that they do, but like Sheldon's mom is just very religious, and how that kind of depicts them sometimes, or the dynamic of, okay, with these, 4 best friends or nerds basically thing. And so when they bring in a jock or something like that, it's usually to make fun of. And so, I think if people just kind of, again, you just hear that or see just that one episode or whatever kind of thing, you think, man, this is it's anti-Christian, it's but it's really not, because again, it's one of those when it kind of, as the shows go on, it shows. You know what I mean? Much more level to that.
What is it? Raj? He's Hindu or something like that. So they have an episode.
Well, he's the Indian. So
He's got. I don't remember which character it was, but they're like, I don't get how you can believe in, like, be a part of a religion when you're a scientist.
Yes.
And he's like, no, I think they like can coexist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even Sheldon, like him and his mom's dynamic of.
Yeah.
He disagrees with his mom, but he's still like, no, my mom is like the boss.
Yeah. And one of the things I guess I like too is because there's certain shows, again, like I'm an action guy, so there's certain shows, but and we were talking before we started this podcast, just the different layers of things, like I just love, like, so I guess one of the things that's some of it's just humor, and I know some of it, it's not really crude or anything like that. I mean, there is some kind of things you just got to, you know what I mean, with any show, I guess. But the dynamic of, like, for Sheldon is this very different. Like, he is very, very, and not self-aware. There's most of the time, of being so different.
Yeah.
He thinks it's normal. But for me, like, I felt like, I don't know, part of me, I don't relate to that. You know what I mean? But it's interesting to kind of watch it and see his heart and see it played out.
Yeah.
It kind of helps me. I don't know, with with different personalities and different backgrounds and different beliefs and things like, you know what I mean? So I don't know, for me, maybe that's a little more in depth than what people think of a comedy sitcom kind of thing, but I don't know.
With like The Office, because it was a remake. There's the British version, which is like Ricky Gervais.
Okay.
I screwed up his name.
He'll forgive you.
But it's very like dry sense of humor. Theirs was I didn't like it that much. But then the American version came out, and the first episode is basically shot by shot a remake of that, just with Americans.
Okay.
And in that first season, you watch like Michael Scott, like Steve Carell's character. He's very like he's a jerk.
Yeah.
You don't root for him. You're like, he's an annoying, terrible boss.
Yeah.
But then as the seasons go on,
Yeah.
they have these like little redemption moments. And over the time, like, you're like, I would hate to probably work with a guy like him.
Yeah.
But he cares so much, and he has like this childlike love for his people. He has no family, and so he really believes the office is his family. They don't want to be a part of it, but he's like, no, like, you're my children. And you just watch him over time. Like, he's this guy who, at first glance, you're like, I don't want to be anywhere near him. But then over time, you're like, no, he's just a guy searching for love. Like, he wants to be a part of something.
Yeah.
He had a stepdad growing up who he didn't really connect with. He was always kind of odd kid out. he was wearing suits, like business suits when he was a kid.
Okay.
And there's like this scene where they had like a bring your kid to work day.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't have any kids, but he ends up getting along with the kids really well because he's kind of like a child.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, I was on this TV show when I was a kid, this kid's television show. So he like puts the tape in or whatever, and they're interviewing all the different kids. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up and stuff like that? And his was like, I want to be loved. I just wish everyone would love me.
Wow.
And like it cuts to like Michael present day, and he's like emotionally broke down. He's like, yeah, I still want that, and I don't got a family. These work people, I want to be my family, but they don't really want. It's not vice versa, and so you're like, dang, you really start to feel for this character, and just over time you root for him, and then when he finally falls in love, you're like, like, I don't know. I feel like it humanized each and every character in The Office. All of them have like these different quirks and personalities that drive you up the wall. But over time, you start rooting for them.
Yeah.
And it's just like the subtle, I don't know, storyline up underneath that, like, we all want to be loved, and you start appreciating the people around you. And I think it was Rainn Wilson, and when he was being interviewed by Russell Moore, he's like, the showrunner Greg Daniels just really was trying to show beauty in the ordinary of in this boring office. There's so much beauty around you because that's basically the whole show. They don't go outside much. Yeah, it's not like in Big Bang Theory. They have like their work setting, and then they have their home setting. Then they go to the comic store. They have all these different places, but The Office, it's literally just The Office for most of the show. But they have all these different storylines they have coming through there of just these people trying to make the office home. Yeah,
that's cool too. I mean, we're dissecting. What's funny is I was thinking about, I wonder, like, this was polled kind of stuff, like if you were just to ask, 100 people or whatever, kind of Family Feud style, their favorite show, what category it would even fit in. Yeah. Like, is comedy just because of the relief aspect of it, the humor? But then you and I are talking, we're it's not just a numbness or just let me bring some joy and laughter or whatever. It's like these underlying storylines. It's like brings you into the character, which is cool. Because as I was even thinking, like if you were to ask my wife she would probably say like one of the investigation stories, like NCIS and FBI, like all these kind of, because I love that aspect. But even to those, because I'm like, I want to figure it out, kind of thing. I want to solve. But even though they have storylines, deep storylines within that. And my wife's would be, man, she watches a lot of ID channel, which is kind of scary for me sometimes. She's just, because, like, it's like How to Get Away with Murder. So I'm like,
Berlin's the same?
Is she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I love you. Because I want to go missing.
We were on a kayaking trip, and she's yelling about why she thinks like John Wayne Gacy is better than Jeffrey Dahmer. Wow. And there's all these other people who are just like, oh my God, that guy's about to die.
Yeah. I hate him. That's funny. I don't know.
Man, that's cool. Okay, so this is a kind of deeper question, but still personal. Okay. Has there ever been a moment in your life where you really struggled with your identity, where you felt like you didn't fit in, or you just, maybe you're going through like a transition period of like, I don't know, like there's the like common analogy of like the student who has always been involved in sports his entire life, doesn't make it to college to play sports or whatever, so he has to like figure out what his new hobbies are. Was there ever a moment where you really struggled with your identity?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've got one big one that just pops off when you ask that question. I mean, I've got, over the course of time, and even as a believer kind of stuff, I think it's a constant struggle, or can be a constant struggle with identity, because we're looking for value and purpose and other things. It's this pull of the flesh kind of thing. But the big one for me was actually right before coming to faith in Christ. mean, I struggled, even in college, out of college kind of thing, and just, I did have the sports thing. I did have, the popular, whatever else kind of thing, but I still felt like alone a lot kind of thing. So there was a deeper, like, what am I here for? Is this all there is kind of thing? And that kind of thing. But for me, like in the job world, it was funny, like I was searching so much and I didn't even know it. And it's, now you look back and it's like, oh, I see what God was doing. But at the time it was like, man, I was working for this company called Philip Morris, making really good money. And then, Christ is wooing me. I mean, drawing me, using things. And I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what am I to do with this? I think part of it was the struggle of answering the call. Because, I mean, that was just so weighty. I didn't even know what all it entailed, but I knew it was big. And I was like, no, I don't want that. You know what I mean? So, man, I got my contracting license, thought I was going to do, like building houses and things of that, that nature. I got my real estate license. I worked for a dozen, it seems like, part-time jobs, just trying to figure out what in the world to do.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was like, and everything I did, I kind of knew that wasn't it. I mean, there was a little bit of interest kind of thing, or I wouldn't have done it in the first place. But it was like, it just didn't, it wasn't it. Yeah. But I can see with even all those now, again, hindsight, how God uses a lot of that even for now in ministry. But I don't know. I was just struggling with purpose and finding something that was really fulfilling. And so, and all these things, I just never kind of did the job. How about you?
Yeah, there's been a good bit of them. The one that I feel like ties into this conversation that we're about to have is growing up with a dad like mine who is like man's man.
Okay.
He worked in a cabinet shop, so he's always been into like the physical labor. But then when he's not at the cabinet shop, he's out at the racetrack, or he's going to the auto parts store just to hang out. Like,
yeah.
And so I'm constantly around like these men who love cars, and they got oil over them, or we're at the cabinet shop and he's like throwing boards on his shoulder and he's like just building cabinets. And then you go to his family's house and they're talking about like getting in fist fights growing up and like all these brawls. And then you go to church and we got to go to men's what is it called, brotherhood meetings. And I'd always go with my dad to just about everything he did. So I'm like the little kid there, and they're frying fish and quail and every other animal they shot that week. And then like because of brotherhood, we'd end up going hunting and like fishing and stuff like that. And I have pictures of it, and I definitely didn't know what to wear because I have like Spider-Man t-shirts on and like bright colors as we're going hunting, and everyone else in the picture is like got camo on, and then it's just me with Spider-Man. And but I remember as a kid like really struggling and being like, dang, like I want to be like my dad.
Yeah.
I don't know how though, because I don't like any of this stuff. I don't care about cars. I don't care about hunting or fishing. I would bring my like Game Boy Advance when we would go hunting, and my dad would be like, all right, just turn the volume down. Like, you're going to do it, but like,
yeah.
And I did not get into all that, but like traditionally manly stuff. And I haven't told many people this until more recently, but I remember as a kid walking into the living room, and there's this special on the news or whatever about this person in like I think Japan who found out late in life that they're actually, I don't remember which way it went, but essentially it's like they were one gender they thought growing up, and then turned out they're a different gender. And I think it was like a boy to someone who thought they were a man their entire life, turned out they're a female. I was like, oh frick, that must be me. Like that would explain a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like football, I don't like hunting. Like my friends were all like very athletic, and so I'm looking at them. They're like wanting to play football and baseball, and I'm like, I want to color a picture. Like, I really loved art growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and I would also like just go in my room and I would just like build these whole like worlds out of Legos and stuff like again, that's not even like a boy girl type thing. That's just
Mm-hmm.
what kids like to do. But all my other friends were like, let's go play football. And I'm like, that's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear this story as a kid, and I'm like, how do you know if you're like a boy or a girl? Like,
Yeah.
that would it would explain a lot. I had these moments growing up where at the brotherhood meetings or whatever, my dad would tell a story about how like my sister beat me up, and so the guy's like just picking fun at you.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, all right, you little girl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, maybe they know something I don't.
Wow.
And so then it's like really, I'm a very anxious,
Mm-hmm.
in my head kid, and growing up hearing that stuff, I'm like trying like try to put pieces together. I'm like, maybe they're onto something, and I just haven't like figured it out yet.
Mm.
I have long hair, like, and really it was just like a bowl cut, but it was just very long and a thick hair. And I was like, maybe that's just me. I'm the kid that's gonna find out I'm something different. But then, thankfully, I don't know. I think growing up, some of those questions like that, somehow I found my way out of it, and definitely a guy and don't really struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember as a kid that being like this huge moment where I'm like,
Yeah.
something's wrong and I don't know what to do about it, and I don't know if I should just ignore it until it finally comes to light or whatever. And I don't know, that was just like this big identity crisis moment for me just as a kid.
Yeah.
So then with this topic about the transgender debate, I started doing some research because I feel like this is probably my arrogance that comes in, is I had thought I understood this conversation very well. And then I buy a book by Preston Sprinkle called Embodied, and I realize I'm very out of the loop on a lot of this stuff. And like, I have trans friends, and I have friends who are like gay or lesbian, but apparently they're using terms that I did not understand at all. I thought I was using context clues, but I guess I don't really understand it as well as I thought. And I think part of that might just be because like we're in a very conservative, like traditional, like setting where we're at, and then if you're just the slightest bit like out of that, you feel like you are very progressive, and I don't know if that's making sense. But I thought I had this stuff figured out, and then I started doing research, and I realized I'm definitely very ignorant to a lot of it. And I started reading these stories about these people who are questioning like their gender and stuff. I'm like, dang, I'm starting to understand the best I can a lot of the struggle. And it took me back to that time when I was a kid. I'm like, I don't want to boil the transgender debate down to just the stereotypes, but there's this issue of stereotypes in our culture of like what it means to be a man or a woman that a lot of us don't fit into, and it causes a lot of confusion about who you are, and even to some degrees like a hatred for your own body and for your own self, because you're like, why can't I just get it together? Why can't my body fit what and all that stuff?
Yeah, makes total sense. Two things, man. I was just thinking. One, to, like you said, your own struggle. And again, not boiling it down to just by no means. But I'm assuming, in just what you just said, you sound very sympathetic, at least now, to understanding a little bit more.
Yeah.
Other struggles.
Yeah.
And I think for believers, okay, so for Christians, that should be the heart of all of us. All right.
Yeah.
You may not struggle with that. whatever that is kind of thing. Like if it's transgender, sexuality, identity, whatever, addiction, whatever kind of thing. You may not struggle with it, but man, we should have a heart for that struggle. Because again, if you boil down to, your opening about identity, we all struggle with identity. Yeah. We all struggle with sexuality. You can be a heterosexual, married for 40 years. Guess what? You struggle with sexuality.
Yeah.
One form or fashion. I mean, and here's the thing that I remember a couple of years ago, I was really convicted of. For any of us, anyone, but specifically for believers, to somehow think, maybe not say, but some maybe would voice it, that any sin, air quotes, is normal or more normal, just really shows how deceptive sin is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so again, just in the heterosexual, like, okay, married or whatever, like, so pornography, I mean, that's grotesque to the Lord. I mean, that is, you know what I mean? The Bible speaks over and over again about sexual immorality and adultery of the heart and all that. So we're watching, heterosexual, somebody grounded in who they are as a man kind of thing, sinning by watching two other people sin. I mean, how whack is that? You know what I mean? But we normalize that. Mm-hmm. But trans, that's really abnormal. And you might struggle with one, but you can't understand their struggle. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, man, just the perversion of my own sin, sexuality, ideas, whatever kind of thing, it's perverse. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But what's crazy is, like you said, where we are, a lot of people just, two unmarried people living together. Having an affair, that's normal.
Yeah.
But homosexuality, that's abnormal.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
And shame on them for trying to make it normal.
For real, yeah.
As if, like, half the shows on TV don't have, like, gun violence and murders. And, like, we're rooting for the supposed good guy.
Yes.
We're rooting for John Wick to assassinate all these people.
Going back to John.
Yeah.
Man. The other thing, too, though, man, I think is so pivotal. And again, we're obviously, deep south, which is where we both grew up kind of thing. And so your struggle, which resonates with a lot of people in one form or fashion about not fitting in and the stereotype and ideology of some people, what this is supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. Because I know some very God-fearing men who I have heard, like, make comments, about masculinity and what it looks like.
Yeah.
And man, I have had to push sometimes and be like, I think, David, for those guys, is a hero of the Bible. Mm-hmm. Man's man. Bears, lions, warrior, leader. He also played a harp. And wrote poetry.
Yeah.
You want to put
very
him in
emotional poetry.
You want to put him in a box? Jesus? I mean, turning over tables, cracking whips, challenging the religious elite, most definitely. Yeah. Little kids coming to him, tender. You can't put him in a box. Mm-hmm. And so, but the thing, and we do it with not just males, we do it with females all the time. Yeah. I remember growing up, and again, I'm a lot older kind of thing, but that is very much a thing. And I even, being ignorant, naive, whatever you want to call it kind of thing, not that I would ever, I don't think, I probably did make jokes, to be honest. Be very blunt. I probably did. Kind of like your dad.
Yeah.
Or somebody, about, hey, being a girl or whatever kind of thing. Because, even in my age, a girl that, could work on a car or specifically like play softball. Mm-hmm. There kind of came this stigma, this stereotype of what that meant. She wasn't in pageants or, wearing dresses, all that, or whatever kind of thing. And I'm not old school, but you know what I mean? That's just kind of, she was tomboy. You started labeling, right? And so then for a guy, again, who didn't play sports or, if he loved books or, he was in the arts or whatever it was, again, that we're acting kind of opposed to that, a little more feminine kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, who is defining that though? Yeah. The culture, where you grow up, your personal preference.
Yeah.
Now again, being much more mature, not only in life, I hope, and I know, but also just as a believer, man, you got to stop that, because we're still prone to that as believers today.
Even as someone who is on the receiving end of that, of like being called the little girl, and it messing my mind up a lot.
Man, it's so damaging. Yeah,
I did that to my little brother.
Yeah,
because I remember a point where I was like, okay, like my dad's toughing me up, like I'm looking at my little brother and I'm like, why are you crying about everything? And so then I started using the same hurtful language, and anytime he was like emotional growing up, I'm looking at him like, come on, you little girl, like, do we need a dress? And like doing all those same things to just like continue the issue. And it made me Preston Sprinkle had talked about these terms, binary and non-binary.
Okay.
I didn't really understand. I've heard them before, but it's I wrote a book review for it, and I was like, the only time I've ever really heard these words is when it's like the purple hair, like flaming liberal, like they're like got posters and stuff up at some protest. And so I just kind of like let it slide, and I'm like, I don't even care to learn. But then he starts explaining it in his book, and I'm like, dude, that actually makes a lot more sense, and I would feel a lot more at home with that, of binary being there's this black and white. There's an either or. There's masculine and feminine. And if you're a male, you're masculine. If you're a female, you're feminine. And you got to fit in these very distinct boxes. And he says what the transgender conversation has brought up is this idea of non-binary, of there's going to be some things that are in the gray. There's going to be more facets to it than just what we have deemed black or white. And how, like you said, there's some guys who are very manly, but they love music, and they write poetry, and they are more, maybe they communicate their feelings a little better, and they're not as like they're not like Mark Driscoll. They're probably more like Mr. Rogers. And very like tender and not brash, but he's also very much so a man. And Preston talked about how like it's actually like a good thing the gender identity conversation has started, because as it's the church, instead of pushing back and saying, let's not have this conversation, like there's male, female, that's it. We can thank the LGBTQ movement for bringing this conversation to light, because in our church setting, sometimes we box people into these very distinct, not biblical views on male or female, but our own cultural views that we have thrown like Jesus tags on and stuff like that. Of the brotherhood meeting doesn't have to be a fish fry. Like it's that doesn't make it. The fish fry part doesn't make it any more masculine or feminine. It's just food. And these there's always like the manhood retreats where we're gonna go camping, we're gonna go like shoot some, I don't know, deer.
Gotta shoot something.
We're gonna shoot something. And it's like, okay, you could also like, I don't know, I'm not even gonna say paint a picture, because I don't even know if I'd be into that.
I know.
But there's other things you can do that aren't these traditionally manly things, and that doesn't take away from your manhood.
No. And I think too this, Austin, so some of it is just, again, tearing down stereotypes, this is the only way kind of thing. Because again, okay, so just stereotype in general, like, so you're Mark Driscoll, or let's just John Wayne or whatever kind of thing. So for a guy that's that kind of guy, I don't need to tell you I love you. Was that good and godly? If you don't tell your wife that you love her, that their kids, you love them, is that but you're acting like a man. You're not acting like an ungodly man. Okay, so that would be kind of my thing. So I don't care that part apart or set aside kind of thing. Like the other thing is too, man. One of the things, like, God has just done a work, because again, me growing up, my dad was a truck driver. He was a manly man. I grew up on a farm. I mean, that's sports. Me, right? And I love all that stuff. I still love all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But one of the things, again, God has done in my heart is when you really study the scriptures, like so in 1 Thessalonians 2, when Paul's talking about, man, I've loved you like this nursing, nurturing mother. He's using the beautiful picture of a nursing mother, that tender care, to talk about his love for them. Yeah. Right? God does that a good bit too, Old Testament and New, about how he cares, and he nurtures and he takes us under his wings. So again, Paul's not just and Paul's very sure who he is as a man. Mm-hmm. God is a he. So the identity, but he's still like, okay, so that doesn't mean that I'm not nurturing. You know what I mean? And I just think for us, sometimes we struggle with that on either end of the spectrum. It's I got to be bold and I got to be protective and I got to be this. Yeah, but you should also be nurturing and caring. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's not just the other person, the other gender's role, which is what we typically do. The father is this, the mother is this. Yeah. Well, who says? You know what I mean? And again, I think the scripture is very clear on roles and things of that nature, and there's going to be overlap, which their scripture again points to, kind of thing. When there's a single parent, I mean, there's all that. But I just think for us as a culture, we just kind of, maybe it's learned. That's kind of what we've, always learned or been brought up in. Maybe it's preconceived notion. I don't know, but I know it's still very prevalent. Yeah. Right here, right now.
Yeah. I think that goes to the need to constantly, it's like growing up in church. You're always challenged with the idea of you don't need to just depend on your parents' faith. You need to have a faith of your own. Mm-hmm. And so you need to do that deep work of understanding, are you depending on your parents' faith to get you into heaven, or have you made that personal decision? And I think as Christians in this cultural moment with this topic, we need to do that deep work of, are we just depending on this traditional cultural norm that we've all adapted, or is there some some new language we need to adapt? Is there some taking out some idols that we need to take out? And have we actually been striving to be biblical Christians, or have we just assumed that the Christianity we grew up in was very biblical?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the challenging part. Is whatever you grow up in, you think is normal.
Sure.
I grew up thinking that your dad being a drug addict was a normal thing. I didn't think it was special. Mm-hmm. And then you go to school and you're telling your friends all these stories about your dad, and they're like, "Yeah, my dad's an accountant. He doesn't struggle with drugs." Yeah. And you're like, "What? That's not everyone's struggle." Yeah. But it's just whatever you grow up and you think is normal. And so a lot of the times, part of this deconstructing that you have to do is I think some of the biggest deconstruction you're going to have to do is deciphering what is actually biblical and what have you been told is biblical. Yes, agreed. And just because there's some Bible passages being attached to some things to back it up doesn't mean it's actually biblical. You need to do that deep exegetical work of dissecting the scriptures, deep study and prayer, and trying to really understand the full intention and context of what's being written.
Yeah, because what surprises people a lot of times is on either side, they will use scripture. Yeah. Out of context sometimes, either side. You know what I mean? And just kind of twist and maneuver and make, you go, because you can do that. If you go into scripture with this preconceived notion and I'm going to find something to justify, you can almost do that with anything. Yeah. Taken out of context again, kind of thing. So, but I want to get back to something you said earlier, because I think it's so paramount. So you said, even in some of your terminology that you thought you knew, but then when talking with your friends, when reading another book, just this enlightening, just gathering information. And again, we've talked on a myriad of other topics, the same thing, gathering information. Yeah. That being, I don't know, just learning more. Yeah. Not, again, preconceived, and again, you don't have to understand completely, but just having more of I want to understand more so that I can communicate better and relate with and understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think is so pivotal. One other thing too, man, I was just thinking, so with the church, one of the things, like there are hot topics, like pressure point, like when they get brought up, and I guess I'm sure it's always been that case, but in the world we live in today, like, so in the last couple of weeks, I've really, just been doing a lot of research and too, for my own self, benefit, but obviously knowing we're doing this topic today, man. And it's amazing how sometimes when some church leaders say things, and they're calling on the church to be much more sympathetic and understanding and compassionate and aware, and they get railed. I mean, they get trashed.
Yeah.
And man, my heart has just ached because they're not condoning. I mean, they're not saying, yeah, I agree with. They're just saying, as the church, again, we should be the most compassionate people on the planet for any topic. And again, it's not an agreement with, but man, how can you talk about grace, talk about love, and then you're just like, it's up here, kind of thing. Like,
did you see that Michael Todd clip?
No, I didn't.
Do you know who Michael Todd is?
No, I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank stare. I'm giving you a blank stare because I don't know.
Pastor at Transformation Church. It's
okay.
It's.
I know that church.
It's booming. He I don't know what sermon this was, but it was this clip that went around and people are railing against him.
Okay.
And he's talking about the gender identity stuff,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Listen, this is how God designed it. So there's a male and female. Now, what I have wanted for there to be like, okay, God, like maybe there's a little bit more we can do here." And people took that and they're like, he's judging God.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, no, he's being a human.
Yeah.
We all, like, there's certain things that are, God has deemed sin. Mm-hmm. And it would be easier in our lives if, as Christians, they were not sins.
Yes.
Because then the friendships we have with people, we wouldn't have to call them out. We wouldn't have to call people to repentance. As like a natural human thing to say, I wish God would have made it easier and he just let everything be deemed godly and good. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. And that was like what Michael Todd was getting at. And he was trying to be very sympathetic and like caring about this conversation. He was being gentle. Mm-hmm. But he still spoke the truth. Yeah. He still said, God designed male and female. Mm-hmm. Like that's it. There's the image bearers. And it was crazy to me because I'm like, what more would you want him to say? Mm-hmm. What, do you want him to like get up there and like bash?
I think that's it. I think there's this pride aspect to it. Again, there's this judging, like, because it's I don't want to say easy one to pick on, but I know a few years ago, even right here in Berrien County where we're at, man, it was a topic very prevalent at one of our schools. And I remember in the church circles, it was kind of like, well, which side are you on? And they wasn't asking what, let me be clear, they wasn't asking, do you believe it's this or that? They were asking, are you on our side against railing against it? Mm-hmm. And not talking about any other sin. You know what I mean? Like, and for me, that's just, again, like it's truth. Jesus came embodied truth. We speak truth.
Yes.
But it's also with grace. You know what I mean? And so it is so easy to pick this one. And let's just be honest. It's easy to pick this one. I don't mean just trans, but I mean whatever this sin is, because I don't struggle with that sin.
Yes.
And you said something earlier, because again, I don't want to get off topic here, but just to use something very dear to my heart. So I don't struggle. I've never struggled with feelings, emotions, sexual feelings, that is, toward the same sex. Mm-hmm. I've never struggled, even to your, illustrate. I've never struggled with that. So it would be, let's just say, easy for me to rail against those. Yeah. God calls it sin. I've never struggled with it. Boom, boom, boom. Bryce, who is a special needs child, I always think that's funny. We, kind of say that he's special. He is. But there were words, and I obviously don't need to say, that I used in my vocabulary growing up to describe, again, cutting on friends.
Yep, I'm with you.
You know what I mean? For special needs kind of thing. Man, you let me hear that word now. Why? Because I have a special needs child.
Yeah.
It's changed things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't talk that way now. I don't use certain vocabulary. I also don't view special needs children, adults, individuals, because now it's dear. When you have people in your lives, again, it does, and again, I'm not equating the two kind of thing, but like, so if I don't struggle with homosexuality, but now there's someone, whether a family member or someone at work or somebody near and dear to my heart that is struggling with it, now maybe I can gain some not only sympathy, empathy towards, but understanding. You know what I mean? And I think for some people, because they don't struggle and they don't allow themselves to be, they're just at like, it is like leprosy. Yeah. Like, let's put them in a colony and leave them over there and not go to them and don't dare get around. You know what I mean? I think that's like sometimes the whole civil rights, is kind of used sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a poor analogy kind of thing. Yeah. I think the leprosy kind of thing is because that's how, as the church, sometimes we treat, people who are struggling with identity and sexuality specifically. I think we guard against getting to know them.
On your point about the you say you end up having a kid or a family member, whatever, or friend who is trans.
Yes.
You then learning to be sympathetic and more, maybe a little bit more gentle than you were before towards them. Mm-hmm. Now you handle that situation doesn't make you soft.
No.
I think that's part of the issue too. Is when you don't have any relation with someone like that, you say whatever you want flippantly.
Yep.
Then you have that person come into your life, and I don't know another way to put it, you're on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. And so you learn how to actually fight this battle, or you learn how to be in this very uncomfortable situation. And it actually, I don't think it makes you soft. You're actually the one on the front lines, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's very easy, and I've seen someone do this the other day because we're recording this in June, which is Pride Month. Mm-hmm. And so there's all the little Christian posts right now about like, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Or I've seen a pastor do this, a pastor I love, who posted something about all the scriptures talking about homosexuality and abomination, stuff like that. Yeah. He doesn't ever post on Facebook. Mm-hmm. But he's come out of the woodworks to do this. Yes. And I'm seeing a lot of that, of people who have no relation. Mm-hmm. They've never had a conversation with a trans person where they actually heard their heart or their struggles. Mm-hmm. They've never like cried with someone like that. Mm-hmm. And they have they think it's bold to, from a distance, throw these shots.
Oh yeah.
But that's not bold at all.
Yeah.
Like when you watch like Hacksaw Ridge, the guys in the bunkers shooting from afar, no one's like, yeah, that's bold. What they thought was bold was when Desmond Doss goes into no man's land and is pulling people out.
Yes.
Even the enemy, like he's pulling them out to treat their medical wounds. Yeah. And like that is bold, is when you're actually in those uncomfortable situations and you know how to move and interact in.
Yeah.
And then two, with the trans conversation, I think that as Christians, I don't think it makes you weak when it comes to the pronouns. I don't know, we've had conversations in our church about this, about do we open another bathroom up for that's more like gender neutral?
Yep.
Do we use pronouns? That was a conversation we've had in our youth group, because that's going on in high school right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you soft or a lukewarm Christian to do some of these things. Sometimes it just makes you very loving.
Yeah.
nowhere in the Bible does it say you have to have a male bathroom and a female bathroom. I remember when Target first came out with the gender neutral bathrooms. My whole mind, I was like, yeah, okay, like the gas station, like one person in at a time. That doesn't get in anyone's way. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't. There's constantly times where the man's bathroom has been destroyed, so a man will go to the female's bathroom when no females are in there. That's okay.
Yeah.
And there's just these little things that you can take stands on.
Sure. Oh yeah.
But I feel like as Christians, we need to think a little bit more deeply and strategically about how we're handling them.
Right.
Is it actually hurting someone? Is it actually like endorsing the things that they have chose to do?
And I think that's the key. So I think the struggle for a lot of people is, am I agreeing with?
Yeah.
Because I'm making accommodations, because I'm doing this. Is that kind of my stamp of approval either to that person or bigger picture to others around?
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I allow this, then that means I'm saying it's okay. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. So you said too, man, does it make us or anyone soft? I would say if you're doing those, it makes you actually more biblical.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Hebrews 13. The writer of Hebrews is talking about Jesus being crucified outside the camp in this dark, dangerous, ugly place. And then he says, oh, and now because we know him, we should go outside the camp in the dark, dangerous, messy places. This whole, like, again, kind of to yours and what I mentioned earlier about the leprosy, this whole idea, if I touch someone with leprosy, I'm going to then be contaminated. I'm going to be a leper. And I feel like that's how people kind of treat people, especially trans or gay, lesbian. If I'm around them, maybe I might become like them. You know, it's this is weird. And, you know, it's not funny, man, because it's this weird, like, dynamic. And, again, I just think of Jesus. And it's not because I'm a preacher. I'm just thinking Jesus was constantly around tax collectors, prostitutes, lepers, outcasts, right? And what were the religious people saying? You know, they were saying, oh, if he knew who they were.
Yep.
And Jesus like, man, I didn't come for the well, I came for the sick.
Yeah.
And they were all sick. But these people knew they were sick. Something was wrong. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't like, and Jesus would touch people who other people had cast out. And it was very intentional because it was a sign of intimacy, whether it was having a meal with or being, you know, in their house. When you shouldn't be, kind of, or the culture says you shouldn't be, like, Jesus was not contaminated. He didn't become like them. So if the mindset is we're not going to be around, are we really being like Jesus? Or are we being more like the Pharisees? You know, like, it's just one of those things. It's just, I don't know, man. Again, you mentioned those small accommodations. And again, you need to, as you said, pray through, seek counsel with, look at, I mean, you need to do all that, even small details. But I think sometimes people just kind of mouth off or make decisions, and they hadn't prayed about it. They hadn't really sought counsel. And a lot of those, even like small things, again, it kind of gets back, okay, this isn't, I'm agreeing with. I mean, if we have a bathroom that's a family bathroom, and it's a single stall, or you have a bathroom that's a single stall and I don't know what sign you put on there, everybody, or I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I understand people completely when it comes to just the bathroom, about the safety of children and all. Men being in women's whatever. I understand. Yeah. And so we're going to be wise. We're going to be, you know, about stuff like that. But like you said, if you come to the mindset that you put a single bathroom with a lock on it kind of thing that's open to anybody, does that mean you're agreeing that I think it's totally okay kind of thing?
Something you had brought up before too when we had this conversation was even looking out for the protection of that person who's trans.
Yes, you're doing both.
Yeah. Of saying, well, they just need to get over it and go to the bathroom that they or
Yep.
signed to it. Like,
Yes.
okay, how are you going to actually feel when someone who looks like a female goes into the man's bathroom because that's it?
Yep.
You're going to be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not ignorant to the things that you say around the campfires and stuff like that. Like, we've all heard these conversations. We hear it all the time on TV about what people actually think of stuff like this. You're not what I've heard it countless times say, like, oh, if they ever go in there, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to beat the tar out of them and stuff like that. And you're just like,
yeah, keep it PG.
Yeah. Like, what are you accomplishing with that? Two,
yeah,
you're part of the problem. There's no win-win for you.
Yeah.
You got to have, as Christians, we're following the way of Jesus. Yeah. And so when Jesus summarizes the Torah or the law, he says it's love God and love people.
Yeah. And by the way,
treat them like you would yourself.
Yeah. And by the way, when it's people or neighbor, it's everyone, not just people who look like you. Who, you know what I mean?
When we think about
sexuality, and so I think again, dude, it gets back to that. Like, so that person, and I even said Wednesday night, that person that, because we all, again, the Bible speaks so much about us, our tendency in the flesh to show partiality, and that God does not show partiality. And James warns about people coming into our gatherings. And in that context, he's talking about, he's decked out and he got the gold and all, and where you seat him. Yeah, that's the context. And then the slowly brother you put at the end and sit on the floor kind of thing. But does that not apply to everybody? How we treat them when they walk in, what they look like?
Yeah.
What, I knew last year he was Steve and now he's going by Stephanie, so do I treat him, you know what I mean, like differently kind of thing? I think it's a warning for all of us, as a church, because we're so prone to it. And to your point about them, the trans going into a restroom of their, original gender, you don't think that's a conversation that's going to be had later on by somebody?
Yeah.
I promise you. If you don't voice and have these discussions, you let one walk in your gathering this Sunday. You let a male, female, gender neutral, whatever, walk in, and notice again. Man, you don't think there's gonna be some whispers and then if it's a restroom, oh my god, you know what I mean? And how Satan would love to just completely. I mean, you talking about. Going in the sanctuary and worshiping Jesus, your mind is completely off of worshiping Jesus.
Yeah.
So let's just be honest about this.
I think part of that is we think that we have these magical words that are going to change the whole conversation or whatever. Or we come across a trans person and we think calling them by their gender at birth or whatever.
Yes.
If we call them
or the pronoun,
that's going to set them straight.
Yes.
And it's that foolishness of no, people who've been doing that.
Yes.
That person's at this point probably used to it. And so, or not used to it in the sense that it doesn't affect them, but they've heard it enough. They're expecting that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so as a Christian, you're thinking, I'm going to say strategically, not that this person's like a pet project or something like that, but you're thinking strategically about how you're going to love them well. We do this with alcoholics all the time. We don't have, growing up, my dad, he was an alcoholic, and so part of how we're going to help him fight his addiction, no alcohol in the house. If we go to someone's house and they have alcohol there, we usually would leave. Or my mom would ask him, hey, can you hide that somewhere? It was just making accommodations for their own struggles that they're dealing with. And so with the trans conversation, when you have someone who is trans and you're in that conversation with them, you make these accommodations and you Preston calls it pronoun hospitality. Pronoun hospitality,
yeah.
Of you call them by whatever they're identifying with. We do it all the time. He pointed out the hypocrisy sometimes of we get so fixated on. No, if you're a female at birth, I'm calling you a female. Except for Sunday morning, and we're welcoming people at the door, and a family comes in, and we say, "Hey guys, how are y'all?" And we don't think twice about the fact that we just called
3 females.
Yeah,
guys.
3 females, guys.
Yeah.
Like, we're not that rigid about things.
But what's funny is, so we're not.
Yeah.
But that is a heel. Like, when you, like, there are certain things, and that seems to be a heel that people are just dying on right now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't care if he changed his name to Stephanie, and now he wants to be the called she. I ain't doing it because I don't agree with it. Okay. Again, if you choose not to, okay, that's your choice.
Yeah.
If you choose to, that's your choice. And just know there's, repercussions for both kind of thing. But it is crazy to me, like, I've just seen again pastors and leaders of churches, and they've addressed this issue with what seems like grace. And again, it's not I'm agreeing with, but this is kind of how we're going at it. And just people come like roundhouse, like, man, that's just crazy. But again, we do that in so many areas. Like how we call people's names and stuff like that. And like you said, just with the general guys thing, we do that. Is it accommodating them? Is it just what we're used to? And I did read, so people want some biblical, context. I don't know if he brought this up, but how God will speak of wives, plural, when he's only recognizing your wife, singular, not polygamy, but it will speak of wives. Jesus at the woman at the well, you've had 6 husbands. Yeah. Well, did one live and then die, and one live and die? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or was she divorced? We don't know all the backstory to it, but he's, addressing 6 plural husbands, and the one you're living with is not your husband. I mean, so, I think it's not just black and white in Scripture. Okay, which way do you, what do you do? Do you just call the original gender or what they would prefer? But I think there can be some, again, some grace in there. Yeah. And yes, you may not agree with one or the other, the other side kind of thing. But that hill dying on, again, is just kind of, I don't know, man. I just worry, like, either way, are we really, you said it earlier, loving them well? Yeah. I'm not agreeing with, not I don't know, but I want to get to know you. I want to love you.
Hear their story.
I want to know and again, it's not just knowing their struggle in that specific area. It's not, because they're not a project to be fixed. Okay. Yeah. They're not a means to an end. They're not, okay, look at us, we have, trans in our church, or look at us, we don't have one because we don't believe in it. You know what I mean? Like, not that kind of stuff. But man, behind every single soul, no matter what their struggle is, there is some underlying struggle. And I guarantee you, it's going to eventually get down to identity. Yeah. One form or fashion. Yeah. Some struggles. So
that's what Galatians 3:28. I'll read a little bit before that too. But now that faith has come, we are no longer under a guardian. For in the anointed one Jesus, you are all sons of God through faith. For as many of you were baptized into Christ, have put on Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. And Preston brought that verse up of like, there are Christians out there who are trans, and like they've used that verse, and they're like, see, like,
yes, yep.
So that goes back to the
using the same verse.
Yeah, you can pick and choose verses all the time to defend whatever you believe. But what Paul is actually trying to do is say, like, we all have different that term intersectionality. You have all these different things that make you you. For me, like, I'm a carpenter. I'm about to be the husband, or by this point, I'll be Berlin's husband. I'm a Gregory. There's all these different things that come into play to make my identity me, Austin Neil Gregory. Yeah. But the thing that matters above it all, the thing that actually breathes life into all those different areas that I identify in, is my identity in Christ. That Jesus has died and bled for me, that He's gave me a place to where I don't have to feel shame. And when it comes to that trans conversation, I remember there's a conversation I had with a pastor once where he said that you can't be gay and a Christian. And I was like, dude, we have like hypocrites who are Christians. We have alcoholics who are Christians. Like, there's we all are on these journeys with Jesus, these walks with Jesus, and there are, for some of us, we have different starting places than others. So for the trans person, they may have like fully done the whole like gender reassignment surgery, all that stuff. And they may not see anything wrong with it, but they love Jesus, and they are, not that these things make you Christian, but they're doing everything seemingly right. They go to church, they're involved in Bible study, they're praying, they're giving to the poor, they're doing everything else. There may be this one thing that Jesus hasn't fully worked on them with, or like it's in the process. And that's okay. Like, people are not going to change overnight. None of us have. I'm like at this place right now where I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm questioning like theology all over again. Like, it feels like every time you think you get like a theological question, like the answer to it, another theological question pops up and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, we're just all works in progress, and we're all like, Jesus is slowly sanctifying, trying to grow us more into His image over the course of our lives. And there's going to be times where He's not working on the most obvious thing. He's working on a lot of these more subtle things around it. And that's going to be the thing that gets into some of the deeper core issues, like you said, of like identity that we're wrestling with, that we all wrestle with. And so there needs to be grace towards the person. But then I'd say too that as Christians, one of the things Preston brought up was the difference between sex and gender. And as humans, we have the chromosomes or whatever. So a male is XY, female is XX. There are people who are genuinely, they call them intersex. That means that they have male and female genitalia, and you might not know it looking at them, but they have a whole bunch of struggles that they're going to have to work through. And so looking at them, and you're like, you want to just throw like the trans term on them or whatever, and like say, you just need to be the gender you were assigned at birth. That is a genuine struggle for them. I think sometimes we don't fully understand like what the fall does. Of everyone's made in the image of God, but there are people who are born with like an extra arm, or you got conjoined twins, you got people who have mental disabilities or physical disabilities that they were born with. And I think that's one of the conversations that probably has not been touched on as much in the church. Is there some people who like that affects the genitalia. And as Christians, that's okay. That doesn't shatter our theology or the idea that God made male and female. It's one of those things that we're going to have to, like you said, God gave us a prescription of you're going to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And you're going to love people as yourself. And that means you just enter into those spaces that aren't as clear. Like we had an identity episode before where we talked about God doesn't give you, He doesn't tell you what college to go to. I mean, unless He's like speaking to you in like the dreams and visions. For most of us, we have a few different options. We're going to go to UGA or Florida or Liberty. And we have to prayerfully discern how to handle that. And I think that's the same with a lot of these situations around the gender conversation and even being friends, or maybe you're dealing with it yourself, is you prayerfully discern it. And you depend on God's word, you study it, but you also, you go to God and you just be present with Him. And you let Him like breathe that grace and that mercy over you of when you're in those still, quiet moments with God in like deep prayer and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like God gives us a lot more grace than sometimes we can even expect from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Nouwen talked about how Henry was never married, but he had a friend, and his best friend was everything to him. He's like, this is my guy. This guy has a family, and this guy can't give Henry all the time in the world because he's got a family. And so Henry's struggling with this as like a single Christian. He's like, I feel like you don't care enough about me.
Yeah.
And that guy, God had to do some work on Henry or whatever. And then he finally had a conversation with that guy. And that guy's like, Henry, I loved you. Like, you're my best friend. But I can't be everything to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to heal every wound you have. I can't do what only Jesus can do for you. And I think if we could give any advice to people in like the trans community, people struggling with this, is like the church is going to disappoint you.
Yeah.
And even though it's not in the same way, I would say the church probably has disappointed me and you at times.
Oh, for sure.
Well, yeah, you're a pastor. You're like
no, but I think
church is. Yeah. You're fully. Not that other people aren't fully involved, but you're involved in the church in a way that is emotionally tolling. Of a lot of times we forget that pastors they're caring for people all the time, but if there's not a system set up, they're often the one who gets the least cared for. And that's just that's part of human nature in the fall. And so don't depend, I guess the advice is, don't depend on people to heal those deep wounds and stuff like that.
There's only one Savior.
But then on the other side of that, as Christians, we need to be intentional about loving and creating space for people to wrestle through these things and not try to like fix it right away, but really give them that long-term space to wrestle through, like whatever questions they're dealing with or struggles they're dealing with. Some of it maybe they just hate their body, and that they have like this. There's that conversation in the gym culture of people who work their entire lives to get the best physique, and everyone else thinks they have the best physique, but they think they're fat. Like there's some people who that's just the thing, is that they struggle loving the body they're in. But then there's other people who have a lot more internal, deeper struggles that you're gonna have to work through and wrestle with. And there's gonna be times where you think that y'all handled it and it's all good. You don't ever have to have this conversation again. And then the next conversation comes and you're gonna have to start back from base one. And that's just, as a Christian, you taking on that spirit of Christ of you're being slow, you're patient, you're quick to listen, you're slow to speak, and again, you just create that space for people, whatever struggle they have, to come to you, and you love them the best way you can.
That's good. And man, I think it's just, again, it's Imago Dei. It's made in the image of God. So what we see with our eyes and think with our minds and been taught or been accustomed to or whatever kind of thing, man, that individual is made in the image of God. The same God that you're made in the image of, even though they look very different or act very different or think different or believe different, whatever kind of thing, they still are. For whom Christ died. And so again, man, they're not a project to be fixed. They're a person to be loved. No matter, again, how different, whatever that is kind of thing. And I just, my heart, again, the Galatians 3:28, again, will be used, by some. See, there is neither male nor female. Paul, again, in the context, is about redemption. It's all about salvation. It doesn't matter if you're a slave or free. In Christ, you are free. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, rich or poor. All that kind of stuff is the same God loves, died for you, rose. You can know Him, and that's the beauty of that. Every time sexuality or anything's addressed in New Testament, whether it's Paul or Jesus, man, they're running back to creation. They're running back there. And that's what redemption, recreation, if you will, being born again, is running back to how God created in the first place.
Yep.
It's His. So we know that as believers. In the same breath, man, you mentioned. I know it's different time, but tomorrow I'm preaching on walking with God. It is a walk, man, and we walk with other people, which means, man, sometimes it's some murky, messy stuff you're going through, and it's not as quick to the destination as you hope for either person, but you're walking with them. And that's what I want. Like I want on both sides for our hearts to be, for believers who love the Lord, love the Word, you still can love people who disagree.
Yep.
And so let's make, as you said, that space, man, where we can, get to know them. And because on the hurt part of the church, for me, there's just some ownership. Mm-hmm. And it's not new. The scriptures do it over and over again. The sins of our fathers. Why are they praying and confessing the sins of our fathers? They didn't have nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. And I'll hear people say that about whether it's slavery, specifically racism, whether it's, with sexuality. Well, I don't do this. Why would I have to confess? Way before my time or what? Man, one, is there still that underneath, let's just be honest, that we all deal with kind of thing that we need to confess? But two, like you said, I want people of different sexualities and struggling with whatever identity and this, they have been hurt a lot of the times by people, family members, people very close to them. A lot of other people have shouted things, said things. They find community in people of the same a lot because they're accepted.
Yeah.
Whereas the church, typically, mostly, which side are we? I mean, again, it's not we agree with or necessarily just disagree with, but do they at least find space where there can be conversations, where they can feel welcome, where they can experience love and not be yelled at and just constantly condemned and judged? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's why there is a lot of hesitation. And that's why, again, I don't want to speak for either side as a whole kind of thing. I think that's one of the reasons there is so much division for trans as far as the typical traditional church, because their perceived notion is what they've experienced maybe, or their perception of is that most churches are just that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna judge them. They're gonna condemn them. They're gonna so why would they have anything to do with that type of believer?
Yep.
So it's tough.
It's good.
Just love people, man. Love God, love people. It's so simple. We make it complicated so much.